Hi, hello. Today we're going to be talking about the 7-star electric Emboar raid happening this weekend and next weekend. Emboar is a fire fighting type, and then it will also have the electric Tera, so all three of those will have the same type attack bonus. They will all be boosted damage, but being only electric type means that Emboar will only be weak to ground. Its ability will be Reckless. If you do not know what Reckless does, it increases the power of recoil moves by 20%. So there are a bunch of moves that work with Reckless, but specifically on Emboar, we would see Flare Blitz, Double Edge, Head Smash, Takedown, although Double Edge does more. And the move that should be guaranteed on Emboar this weekend will be Wild Charge, which will go from a 90 base power to 108 base power because of Reckless, and then it will also get the same type attack bonus because of Terastallization. Emboar should be a physical attacker, but when you look at its stats, it's actually a mixed attacker. 100 in special attack is actually really good. If we just compare Emboar to Gastrodon, and I'm using Gastrodon as an example because Gastrodon has won a bunch of world championships. But anyways, Gastrodon has a 92 special attack. Obviously, Gastrodon does a lot of other things, but 100 is really good for a Pokemon that is mostly a physical attacker. So I would expect 1 or 2 special type moves on this Emboar, and one of the special moves, which we'll get to, is really annoying for a lot of different builds. As always, if you're new here, my raid builds are calculated off the strongest possible type move that a Pokemon can use, and if we can survive that. And so even though I don't expect all of these moves, if we can survive, for example, a Fire Blast, that means we can survive a Heat Wave or a Flamethrower because Fire Blast is naturally stronger. These are the physical moves at the top that would do the most damage that we are calculating for. Wild Charge on the electric side, Head Smash, Flare Blitz, and Double Edge. Those are the 4 that also work with Reckless. Emboar does get Grass type coverage with Trailblaze on the physical side. Emboar does get Earthquake as well. So these are the moves we want to look out for. And then on the special side, we have Fire Blast, Focus Blast, Solar Beam, and Scald. We'll get to Solar Beam and Scald here because those are the ones I mentioned earlier. And then on the status type side, Emboar doesn't get a lot of status. It gets Curse and Bulk Up, which a lot of Pokemon get this combination. Ultimately, they are the same thing. They will both increase the physical defense and the physical attack of the Pokemon. Curse would lower speed, which isn't that big of a deal because almost every single one of our builds would outspeed Emboar anyways. We haven't seen a 7-star raid boss with Taunt yet. Sunny Day, which goes back to the Solar Beam, would also boost its fire-type moves like Flare Blitz, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, and then Will-O-Wisp. And then if they, for some reason, want to do a weird like Miltank thing with Defense, Curl, and Rollout, I guess Emboar gets both of those. So honorable mention to Defense, Curl, Rollout. I guess we could see that, maybe. But they would be locked into Rollout. So because Emboar is only weak to ground-type Pokemon in this raid battle, you would think we should bring a ground-type Pokemon. But ground is weak to both water, which Emboar gets Scald, and ground is also weak to grass, which Emboar gets Trailblaze, Grass Knot, and Solar Beam. So it makes a lot of ground-type Pokemon really awkward for this fight. For example, Camerupt would be 4 times weak to a Scald, or Swampert or Gastrodon would be 4 times weak to any grass-type move. It's a little bit tricky because I would expect it to either have at least 1 grass-type move or 1 water-type move. Now, of course, if it doesn't have any grass-type moves, then Pokemon like Gastrodon or Wishcash, I don't know why you would bring Wishcash, but they have the same type, would do fairly well because you don't have anything grass to worry about. There are only 90 ground-type Pokemon out of all 1,045 Pokemon that exist. A lot of them end up being physical attackers anyways. Ground is kind of a weird type, and of course all 90 are not in this game. But this raid becomes a lot easier if there is no water-type coverage or there is no grass-type coverage. So before we get to our first build, the last thing I want to say is we are going to go special attackers. The reason we are going to go to special attackers is pretty basic here. Emboar has multiple ways to increase its physical attack and its physical defense. Both Curse and Bulk Up would do this, just like how, well, actually quite a few Pokemon got Bulk Up, but in the Cinder Ace raid, it would Bulk Up, which would make its physical attack stronger and its physical defense stronger. Now, in that raid, I built a bunch of special attackers with Chilling Water. While its physical defense did get to +6, we could control its physical attack with Chilling Water or Intimidate, and then we would hit it on the special side, so we didn't even care that its physical defense was going up. Emboar has no way to increase its special defense at all. On top of that, Emboar has multiple ways to burn us. The first one, like I just said, is Will-O-Wisp. The second one is any fire type move, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Flare Blitz. They all have a 10% chance of burning. And then the third way is with Scald. Scald has a 30% chance to burn. If Emboar has the ability to increase its physical defense and has a chance to burn us, this would make bringing a physical attacker an uphill battle because we would have to then work around that. If we bring a special attacker and it increases its physical defense, we don't have to worry about it. If we bring a special attacker and it decides to burn us with the multiple ways it can burn us, again, we don't have to worry about that because we are hitting on the special side. So while I do think there are some physical Pokemon that could be good against Emboar, a lot of those kind of hit a wall if they get burned, and Emboar also has the ability to like bulk up. That's more things you have to juggle, especially for like a solo player who would have to deal with the burn on themselves. They would have to deal with the defense increase by themselves. So the first Pokemon that comes to mind would be like Garchomp. Garchomp has really good resistances to a lot of things I've listed that Emboar can do. And Garchomp can also Swords Dance and hit it with Earthquake. But if Garchomp gets +6 with Swords Dance and then Emboar +6s with Bulk Up, you're just hitting a wall at that point. On top of then, if Garchomp gets burned, I don't think you can like win that 1v1 on that in that situation. Maybe you can. It would just be like the slowest thing in the entire world. And I don't want to sit in a raid for 10 minutes. I don't think you guys want to sit in a raid for 10 minutes. Here are the counters we're going to build specifically around Emboar. First Pokemon is actually going to be a grass type Pokemon, which is normally weak to fire, but we're going to use Sinistcha, which actually has the ability Heat Proof, and Heat Proof will reduce fire type moves by 50%. We don't have to worry about that too much because of the ability. Also, Sinistcha will be a full support Pokemon here, so that means it does not have to Terastallize, and the moves we're going to be giving it are Machagacha, Strength Sap, Reflect, and Life Dew. So this is actually going to be our support healer for this raid because of Life Dew. But the main move we want to focus on is Machagacha. Machagacha will hit Emboar for neutral damage. On the special side, it will restore Sinistcha's health, and it also has a 30% chance to burn Emboar. Because we know that Emboar is going to mostly be a physical attacker, having its damage by burning it will keep pretty much our entire team alive. And Machagacha will also work when the raid shield goes up, so we can still burn even behind that raid shield. We have Reflect to, once again, protect everyone on the team. And then we actually are going to use a move called Strength Sap, which does not work when the raid shield is up. So you're going to have to use this more towards the beginning of the raid and then after the raid shield breaks. So Strength Sap will restore HP based on the target's attack stat, but also lower the target's attack stat. So it's very similar to like an Intimidate or like a Chilling Water. But ideally, how Sinistcha is going to work is you're going to come in. If no one else can Reflect, you're going to set up a Reflect. And then you're going to probably Strength Sap once, Life Dew your team if needed, and then focus on getting burned. And then focus on burning Emboar. And that's pretty much it. So pretty easy to use. You're pretty much on burn duty and you're on healing duty. So if you like to play support, I think Sinistcha is pretty great for this. And if you're having a little bit more trouble, you can also start off with an Iron Defense as well. But we'll want Reflect up for the majority of this raid. And if Emboar has an annoying special type move like Solar Beam or like Scald, there are other Pokemon we have that can set Light Screen. We definitely want Reflect, but for the Scald or for the Solar Beam, Light Screen will help with that. Our next Pokemon to tackle Emboar is actually going to be another support Pokemon, which is Hisuian Quillfish, which you should be able to get in the Indigo Disc DLC, or transferring from Legends Arceus or from Pokemon Go. Hisuian Quillfish has the ability Intimidate, which is a hidden ability, but this will help the team out right away on turn 0. So again, because we expect Emboar to be a physical attacker, we're going to get it down to -1 before it gets to do any of its moves. So maybe if it opens up with Wild Charge or something, that's whoever it targets for Wild Charge, it will be reduced because of that immediate Intimidate. Now, Quillfish, like I said, is complete support. So Quillfish can also control Emboar's physical attack even further with Chilling Water. It can taunt Emboar to stop a Sunny Day Solar Beam combination, or it can taunt it to stop Will-O-Wisp spam. Besides using Chilling Water, you're going to use Acid Spray because all of our Pokemon here are special attackers. So Acid Spray will allow everyone else standing next to you, as long as they're a special attacker, to do more damage. Qwilfish also gets like Mudshot and Haze if you want to play differently. And then finally, the last move it has is Acupressure. So Acupressure will let you target one of your teammates and then increase one of their stats. It is a bit random, so you don't really get to choose what stats are increased. But if everything is under control, if you've done your Acid Spray, if the Chilling Water support is there, if the Reflect is up by another Pokemon, you can then Acupressure to make your attackers standing next to you end up doing more damage, and then your raid can get done even quicker. Oh, I didn't do EVs for Sinistcha. They were on screen. EVs for Sinistcha was really easy, just 252 HP, 252 defense, and then 4 in special defense. Because, again, we do expect Emboar to have maybe 1 or 2 special attacks, and Qwilfish's complete support. We're going to do 252 HP, 216 defense, and then 40 special defense. And then the item for Sinistcha was Big Root, which works both with Machigacha and Strength Sap in getting you more health back when you use those moves. And then the item for Qwilfish is Eviolite to make it more bulky than something like an Overquill. Speaking of the attackers standing next to Qwilfish, we're actually going to go with Zekrom. Zekrom is a Dragon Electric type Pokemon, so it has a lot of resistances to the moves that Emboar can do. Even though Zekrom is a physical attacker, it still has a crazy good special attack at 120. So we're actually going to make Zekrom modest here. And Zekrom gets access to Earth Power, which will be super effective damage from 120 base special attack. Also, Zekrom's base stat total is just insane. It's 680. It's very, very good. And Zekrom also gets access to both Reflect and Light Screen. So we have Breaking Swipe, which works exactly the same as Chilling Water. We can use Dragon Shear to help our team get more critical hits standing next to us. So what's really cool is if there's 2 Zekroms standing next to each other, they can Dragon Shear each other to make that Earth Power critical hit more often. And then if that's paired next to something that's using Acid Spray, you're just going to do so much damage so quickly. Because Zekrom's stats are so good, and because you'll have both Reflect and Breaking Swipe support, I feel more comfortable terastallizing this to Ground type, because if there is a Grass type move or a Water type move, we will be behind either a Reflect, a Light Screen, Breaking Swipe. There will be just so much support at that point when you're ready to terastallize that you won't have to worry about taking so much damage when you do finally terastallize. Really easy here too, 252 HP, 4 defense, 252 special attack. And while I didn't make a graphic for this, you could also switch out Zekrom for Reshiram. Now, the one concern with Reshiram is it doesn't have as many natural resistances as Zekrom, specifically on the rock side, because Emboar can learn a couple rock-type moves. That would be concerning, but Reshiram is naturally a special attacker, and so it can do more damage with Zekrom with ultimately the same moveset. It gets Earth Power, it gets Breaking Swipe, it gets Reflect, it gets Dragon Cheer. The only other thing that makes Reshiram cooler, granted the moveset that might threaten Reshiram, is it gets a move called Scorching Sands. And Scorching Sands is exactly like Scald, except it's a ground type move, not a water type move, and it has a 30% chance to burn. So if we do not see any rock type moves on Emboar, we can actually take the same build that we did for Zekrom and we can apply it to Reshiram, and then we can switch out Earth Power for Scorching Sands. It's a little bit weaker than Earth Power, but if you're going to have a 30% chance to burn, it's a great alternative. Zekrom is a little bit bulkier on the physical side, where Reshiram is a little bit bulkier on the special side. Held item would be a Shell Bell on both of those. Speaking of Scorching Sands, we're going to actually do another Dragon-type Pokemon, Dragon Ground this time, which is Flygon. I actually wasn't really sold on Flygon until I saw that it got Scorching Sands, but Flygon has, again, a decent amount of resistances. It does not resist water, and it does not resist grass. Those are the 2 moves we're actually worried about with a lot of Ground-type Pokemon, but the Dragon helps at least neutralize that. Flygon is also a physical attacker, but we're gonna go relax here, and we're gonna lean into the special side. Like I just said, it gets access to Scorching Sands. It gets access to Breaking Swipe. Up to this point, we have not had anything to control its Emboar's special attack, besides a couple Pokemon that can light screen. So Flygon actually gets access to Struggle Bug, which is just the special version of Chilling Water. So if we do see Scald, or we do see Solar Beam, we can Struggle Bug that, which will also help us build Tera, just like Breaking Swipe. And then we're going to go Stellar Tera here to keep that Dragon type. Flygon is not going to hit hard unless there is a Quillfish or the next Pokemon we're about to talk about, to lower the special attack. It's probably the best all-arounder, because it can control physical, it can control special, it can Dragon Cheer to then boost its teammates to do more damage, and then it can also burn. So it's like a really good support Pokemon that can still do really decent damage, just not nearly as much damage as Zekrom or Reshiram here. But I think it works on any team, and regardless of what Emboar has, it should just be a really solid core standing next to any Pokemon. It will have the Shell Bell, Stellar Terrestrialization, 252 HP, 176 defense, and then 80 special attack. If Emboar wants to sit there and Scald Flygon over and over, you can just keep Struggle Bugging it to reduce that damage. And then if Emboar wants to Flare Blitz Flygon over and over, you can Breaking Swipe to reduce that physical damage. Did I say physical for Struggle Bug? Special damage for Struggle Bug. Physical for Breaking Swipe. And again, with the Dragon Cheer, pairs really good next to Zekrom and Reshiram because of how Dragon Cheer works. And then finally, our last Pokemon is actually going to be another Grass-type Pokemon, which is Appleton, and it will have the Thick Fat ability, which is very similar to Heat Proof. It will reduce Fire-type damage by 50%. This Appleton will also be the Ground Tera, and it will be holding Light Clay. So Light Clay will extend both Light Screen and Reflect from 5 turns to 8 turns, and Appleton gets access to both of those. Apple Acid is Appleton's signature move, which works very similar to Acid Spray. So that will make all our special attackers do more damage. And then switch over to Tera Blast. So Appleton's really easy to play. You're either going to open up with Reflect and Light Screen. And because Appleton has the Light Clay out of the 6 Pokemon we've just talked about, Appleton should be the one doing this first. And then other Pokemon like Quillfish should, like Chilling Water, Zekrom or Reshiram should open up with a Breaking Swipe. Appleton will use Apple Acid to then help get Emboar down to -2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then switch over to Tera Blast to do big damage. Again, not as much damage as Zekrom and Reshiram can do, but still really good. And I think that's it. All 6 of these Pokemon, even though I only made 5 graphics, all 6 of these Pokemon synergize really, really well together. I hope that after watching this video, you can see how well they work together. And regardless of if Emboar has Solar Beam or Grass Knot or Scald, all of these Pokemon have that in consideration. Whereas, if I didn't want to build like a Quagsire, Emboar ends up having Trailblaze, and there's 4 times a week to Trailblaze from a very heavy hitting physical attacker isn't great. I didn't want to end up building a Palossand, because if Emboar ends up having Scald, Palossand's ability does take water moves in consideration, but only increases its physical defense, and Scald is a special attack, so that's not going to help you out with Palossand. With something like Garchomp, I didn't want to get Will-O-Wisp or Scalded or Flare Blitzed and then end up getting burned, and then having to worry about like a Bulk Up or a Curse where it's like this uphill battle. And then, of course, Gastrodon has kind of the same problem as Quagsire, which is just 4 times weak to any Grass-type moves. So what I said at the beginning of the video, if Emboar doesn't have any Grass-type coverage or any Water-type coverage, there's so many ground Pokemon that you can end up using. But I think going on the special side, not worrying about getting burned, not having to worry that much about Bulk Up or Curse, I think is the safest way to play. So there you go. If you made it to the end of this video, please like, comment, share. I usually say at the end of these videos, come over to the Twitch streams. I'll help you this weekend, but I'll actually be in Madrid for Pokemon Go Fest. So if you do need help with Emboar, or there's something I completely forgot and none of these Pokemon work, which out of like the 26 7-star raids, that's only happened once, which was Meganium. But I will be helping everyone the second week Emboar comes back over on Twitch. So if you do need help, you can join our Discord. They will be running raids when Emboar drops. but I'm very confident in the builds we did. So thank you so much for making it to the end of the video and watching and commenting and liking and hitting subscribe. It means the world to me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.